All right, 111 folks. Let's talk about a little bit more about China. Again, we're still in Unit 2. We're still talking about China at this point. I was talking about philosophy. I was talking about the fall of the Chao and about the spring and autumn periods, about the warring states periods, about the rise of philosophy. The other thing you got to know is during the Shang and during the Chao, we get an increase in trade. It's not just the metallurgy. It's not just the idea that they can make different things or they can increase this army, but there's quite a bit of increased trade up and down the coast. They're going to trade all the way to India and Southeast Asia and places, and so we're looking at an expanding economic empire. What we have is we have the seven warring states, and yeah, there's more than seven, but those are the major powers that are broken apart. Those kingdoms that are going to fight each other. If you really want to know what they are, there is the Qin, Qin. There is the Qi. There is the Chao. There is the Wei, the Han, the Yan, and the Qi. Um, what's really important is what you're going to have is you're going to have the descent of the Chao, you're going to have the rise of the Qin, and it's going to be King Zheng, who is leader of the Qin, who's going to be important because what he's going to do is he is going to implement some strategies, and those strategies are going to help him win. He is anti-scholarly, right? He's anti-lord. He is more pro everybody. What he wants is he wants to do away with the nobility, and so he's going to do that in Qin itself. And then from there, what he'll do is he will adopt this meritocracy. Again, I mentioned he's going to say, hey, listen, my leaders are going to be the people that chop off the most heads during the wars, and so that's what he does is he rewards them for their proof on the battlefield of what they can do. The idea that he's going to get rid of nobility, that he is going to strip them of their title, or at least strip them of their land, to go ahead and imbue the peasants with their own land, to go ahead and make sure that all men of a certain age join the army, that they do indeed have weapons, and they do indeed, become equal, and that these peasants are no longer going to be answerable to the nobles, that they're going to have their own land, they're going to pay their own taxes. And so the idea is what he's doing is empowering them and empowering his army, and what will happen is he is going to conquer. He'll conquer the surrounding territories with the help of his people, obviously, with the help of some excellent generals, and he will form the Qin Dynasty, which is the very first, what we consider unified China. He's going to expand from there, and that's huge because he's going to go all the way out to the coast. He's going to extend towards the edge of the southern coast. He's going to increase trade. He's going to make a lot of changes along the way. One of the things he's going to do is he's going to take Shang's idea of legalism, Lord Shang's, and implement it throughout the empire. Okay, he believes that people have to be controlled. He doesn't believe that people are good. He believes people are bad, and that we have to have these absolute rules, these absolute laws, to break them down. And so he's going to go and implement that. He's going to take the nobles and move them all into his capital city, move them out of the outside regions, move them to the capital city so they're easily controlled, because those are the people that are hereditarily leaders. Well, he's going to take the leaders out of the countryside and put them under his thumb so they can't lead a rebellion. Then he's going to take the property that belonged to them and give it to the former serfs, give it to their former vassals. And what they'll do is they'll have their own property, they can pay their own taxes, and what he will do is he will break down the entire country into separate administrative districts that are run via the capital. And so he's going to centralize the bureaucracy at this particular point. He's going to go ahead and appoint judges, he's going to appoint governors, appoint leaders, appoint tax representatives, and go ahead and tax the people directly. Now he is, I guess, relatively savvy, because he knows he needs to control the people, wants to do so, and he's going to take a page out of Shang's booklet, and what he's going to do is say, listen, there's alternative ways of thinking, we have to get rid of those alternative ways of thinking. And so one of the things he does is he orders the scholars to burn the Confucian text, to burn the Taoist principles, to burn everything that disagrees with legalism. And the choice is either to go ahead and burn those texts and write new ones that agree with him, or they can burn with their text. There's some ideas that hundreds of Confucian scholars were, buried alive because they refused to change their principles. Problem is we can't quite track that, but that's one of the stories that comes up. What we do know is he tries to scrub the Confucius principles out of existence. We know that he's going to implement legalist principles. One of the ways he does that is he orders all the peasants that were his army, that were his infantry, they have to give up their weapons. It's only going to be the active army. It's only going to be the military and police enforcement that have weapons. The people in the countryside don't have them. So again, if you are a Second Amendment person, he maintains control by taking away the weaponry and self-defense of the people. In addition to that, he's going to be taxing the people. Now, he made them equal, but what he's going to do is he's going to realize that he needs to rule. So what he'll do is he will take everybody and he will have his bureaucracy break them into 10 families, okay? 10 major families, 10 major family units, more than a family unit, but 10 major families, and makes the other people of each of the units, their family, responsible for their actions. And so what happens is if somebody in your family breaks the law and you don't do something about it, you don't report it, then you and the rest of your family can be held equally responsible. Okay, he implements those legalistic principles. Now, he's also going to change the entire administrative jurisdiction of the whole countryside so he can administer better, even to the point of saying, hey, listen, what I'm going to do is we're going to take all these different dialects of Chinese and we're just going to use one. We're going to go ahead and use Mandarin Chinese. We're going to get rid of all these different forms of money and we're going to use one. As a matter of fact, here's the money. It's got a hole in the middle. You can carry it on a string or you can carry it on a stick. This is the type of money we're going to use. This is the language the government's going to be in. This is the axle length for all carts now traveling on the roads, because we need a standard axle length so we don't keep on cutting different ruts. Now, all that's pretty strict, but the other thing he does is he also changes trade. He says, look, if we're going to be an empire, we have to have more roads. Roads aren't enough. We've got a river system, so he's going to build canals to connect the river systems. He's going to increase trade. He's going to take the newer technology and implement that. He's responsible for actually implementing more roads than what Rome had in the empire. And so it's significant. Now, in addition to that, he's not a nice guy, and so he's going to build up a group of people that hate him. And after about 3 different assassination attempts, he's going to be a little bit paranoid. He's going to look for 2 things. He's going to send out a mission to discover where the Undying Islands are at so that he can learn to be immortal. And the other thing he's going to do is he's going to, among his system of roads, build a system of castles. So that way he can, when he is traversing the countryside, he can sleep in a different castle every evening and feel safe. All right, and some of his transitory ways, some of his highways between castles, excuse me, are actually covered highways, because he's scared people are trying to kill him, and he's right. People are trying to kill him. He rules, but he says, hey, listen, this is going to last for 10 generations. It's a fantastic empire. The fact is, he's going to die early. And he's going to rule for about 15 years and die. His son will take over. His son is not him. His son is incompetent. He can't rule. He can't coordinate the governors. They're going to overthrow him, and we're going to descend into chaos. And descending into chaos is kind of important at this particular point, because what happens is he's created this larger empire. All right, he's created this larger trade system. He's created this larger economic system. He's created this government, and it's not all bad, but it's certainly not all good. But it's going to descend into chaos, and there's going to be competing forces, and the competing forces are finally going to resolve the issue. And what you'll see is you'll see the rise of the Han Empire. And so what I'll do is I will talk about that last.